What's happening, YouTube? Thank you everyone for being here today. Today's talk is about the consistency system. One of the things that most people suffer from, whether it's working on any goal, training, health, business, study, whatever it might be that you want to work on, most people feel like they have to be perfect at it all, and they struggle to really understand what it means to stay consistent. And I'm talking about being consistent for like a whole 12 months, not just for a couple of months. And the reason why I think that's really important is because that's what actually moves the needle forward in your life. Now, just quick show of hands, who here feels like they start really strong, then they fall off, then they start really strong again, then they fall off, in any context with anything? Sometimes. Yeah, cool. So all of us can relate to that in some way, whether in the past, or whether it's some stuff you're working on right now. I did for a long time, but then I realized that the consistency that we want to have, there's got to be a system or a framework around that where you can kind of build your lifestyle from there. So what I do and why I was kind of wanted to put this together today is because this is my blueprint with staying consistent all year round when you're focusing especially on multiple things at once. You know, running a business, starting new things within the business, starting a new business, staying on top of your training, achieving body composition goals, looking after your health, trying to be the best father, parent, husband you can be, all that kind of stuff. They're all things you've got to stay consistent with. So that's why I put together a system. And I feel like it's important at this point of all of your lives and everybody on YouTube to be able to follow this stuff and understand it, and hopefully you can take something away from it as well. Now, motivation. Most people always tell me that they're never motivated, which is my argument or my rebuttal to that is, it's because you're relying on motivation and not relying on the really important stuff. Now, motivation, as we know, it comes and goes based on how we feel. You know, people fall off the bandwagon or fall off track, not because they lack willpower, they fall off because literally the whole year was built on that feeling that they had, right? Especially when we start things in January, you know, the New Year's resolutions, you do everything really hard, and then you fall off because that feeling isn't there anymore, as compared to how it was New Year's Eve or January 1 or whenever you decide to start your new thing that you want to do and you're feeling good about it. You're feeling motivated about it. Feelings move with your sleep, with your stress, and with your week, but systems don't. Yeah, you got a framework that doesn't change. Doesn't change based on how you feel. Doesn't change based on how the week was. Doesn't change on how stressed you are. What changes that is you, and what changes you is how motivated you are. But when you focus on the system and staying consistent with what you have in place with the system, it becomes very easy to see yourself making progress. Yeah? Now, if you look here, most new health and fitness goals don't survive past the first couple of months, not because you guys are weak or people listening on YouTube are weak, but because they weren't built to last. Yeah, this is why me specifically with the PT business, when I look at clients that start in the new year, the first thing I say to them when I converse with them is, do not get caught up in how you're feeling right now. And they look at me a bit confused. And I say to them all the time, don't get caught up in this feel-good feeling now because it's not going to last. Life's going to hit you and you're going to fall off the bandwagon. And I'll bring up the previous year that they had. And I ask them a question, did you feel like this good around the start of last year? And then it slowly started to fade away based on what life threw at you? And the answer is always yes. And then I said to them, this is exactly why we're not getting caught up in how we're feeling right now or trying to do too much right now. We're looking at the next 12 weeks, the next 16 weeks, the next 26 weeks, 52 weeks, and working from that end goal backwards to what we need to do every day to make that end goal just a non-negotiable thing that becomes achieved. Make sense? Yeah? So that's how we work with the clients. This is why, again, we don't necessarily push extremities or extremes. So not extremities, we don't push extremes. And the reason why we don't push extremes is because you can't sustain an extreme in any concept, whether it's with business, whether it's with training, whether it's with nutrition, whether it's with your lifestyle. Yeah? I had an old coach. She was a great person, but she wanted to do so many things in her day. I want to be asleep by this time, get up by this time, do this at this time, do that at this time, do that at this time. And I just literally took the paper that she had, I went away. And I've got a new blank piece of paper, and I said, here's a pen. What are the three most important things you need to get done every single day to make sure the needle moves forward? Because that's what you're going to focus on. And she was like confused. And I said, you will not be able to sustain the 10 things that you want to do in your day and then go to bed by 8 o'clock to be asleep by 9 to be up at 4. You won't sustain that. So instead of trying to push for something that isn't going to work for you, let's push for something that is going to work for you, that's going to get you to see progress without the burnout. That's the key here, guys. See the progress without the burnout. Yeah, all of us at this point in time of the year feel pretty fatigued, right? Most people do. Most people feel fatigued come February, March, and the year's just started. We've only hit 3 months of the year. People are like, I'm so tired. And I always tell people it's because you went too hard. Yeah, you wanted all these great things and you didn't account for the burnout that's going to happen. Because burnout builds up over time. It doesn't just hit you out of nowhere. It builds up over time, then it hits you out of nowhere. Make sense? So consistency is not a personality trait. Now, what most people think is that they need more discipline, or they need to find motivation again, or the successful people, they just want it more than me. And then the last point, to a point, it is true, but it's not always the case. All these successful people that I know, they're not smarter than me. I'm talking successful people like 100 grand in a month is a bad month. 200 grand in a month is a bad month. Right? And we're working at trying to get to 100 grand a month to make it a fantastic month, right? These guys are hitting 100 grand a month going, fuck, it was a good month this month. And I'm like, fuck off. Excuse the language. I'm like, get out of here, man. Right? But that's the standard that they have. But when I look at them, they're not necessarily, there's people that you can't talk to. There's people that you can't relate to. They just have a really good system and they stick with the system. And if you look at the other side of the screen, discipline is just a byproduct of good systems. Yeah? Motivation is a mood and not a strategy. So they won't wake up feeling motivated, but they'll still have the strategy and the system set up to make sure that they hit the targets they need to hit, which is 2 to 3 a day, which moves the needle forward. And then the people who stay consistent removed the need to feel motivated at all. I'm at the point in my career where I'm on that third point in particular. Yeah, I struggled yesterday. Don't know why I struggled yesterday. Because I wasn't here all day and I knew that the gym was going to be totally fine. I knew we were going to hit our targets. I was waking up to new bookings being made. I thought to myself, I should be doing more. But then now I'm starting to realize that I don't need to do more. I just got to do what I'm good at, which is my 2 or 3 things a day, because you're doing your 2 or 3 things a day. You're doing yours. You're doing yours. Zena's doing hers. And as a group, the whole system is working a lot better. Yeah? So, what does it mean for me? I don't have to be doing 10 things a day now like my brain is so used to doing. I can slow down and really zone in on those 2 or 3 things in a day or 4 things in a day and move them forward. See what I mean? This is why a system or a strategy is so important, because it takes away the need for you to feel like you're motivated all the time and then feel like you're not doing something good if you're not motivated all the time, or that something's wrong with you if you're not motivated all the time. Make sense? The systems are really important. And just because you guys don't work for yourselves doesn't mean you shouldn't have this kind of stuff. Anybody on YouTube listening, even if you're not an entrepreneur in that sense, doesn't mean you shouldn't have some kind of system set up for yourself. And a simple system could be go to bed this time, wake up this time, train at this time. A simple system could be study at this time, or do this amount of hours of study a day, do this amount of steps per day, do this amount on my lunch break. Like the stuff that is set up for you, that are what we term as non-negotiables that move the needle forward. And the easiest one I can say for the 3 of you is your training. Having your system of your week set up where you know that the non-negotiable times for training are set, and then everything else around your day works around that. Right, you do it really well, you train in the morning, or go to the other place and get your sessions done. You do it really well, you train on your lunch break. You do it really well, you train when you finish work. Right, your system's set up. And then the rest of the time, you filled your own cup, the rest of the time is doing everything else to move the needle forward in the areas that you need to move the needle forward in. So it's good that you have some kind of system. The complexity with the system is that most people get it wrong. They think a simple system isn't the right one. And I think a simple system is the best one, because it's easy to understand, it's easy to teach, easy to duplicate, easy to stay consistent with. And what moves the needle forward, team? Consistency. Yeah, not trying to make it this real complex system that you're going to have to spend half an hour to 45 minutes explaining to each person that looks at it. Just a simple system that tracks stuff and they can move forward with really well. Now, the 4 pillars of year-round consistency, I made this for myself, and it came from a lot of years of 2 things: failure, or I term it as learning, and 2, achievements. So a combination of both. Not achieving things in areas that I wanted to achieve them in, right? But also achieving things in the areas that I want to achieve them in as well. So the learnings from the failures and the learnings from the successes help me put together these. And the reason why I love these 4 things is because they're the things that I use every single day and every single week in my way to make sure that everything around me is designed for the right choice to be the easy choice. I'm going to give you guys a really good example. My office, right? I've gotten rid of so many distractions that are in my office so that when I get in there, it's just the work that needs to get done. The environment is set up for me to be able to do the thing I need to get done or the things I need to get done really, really well. Number 2, standards. There's a non-negotiable flaw that I hit even on my worst day, right? So the standards in this context, for me in particular, is what if I'm having a really, really, really bad day, right? My standards will make sure that I set myself up to even achieve good stuff on a really bad day or on my worst day. And good stuff is 1 or 2 or 3 things that still move the needle forward. Does that make sense? It may not be the 25 outreach messages that I want to do in a day. It may not be that. But it might mean that the other things that need to be done, the standards sit there, and then we go from it. But even on my worst day, the standards have set for me to really hit the nail on the head with doing the outreach. 25 a day, every day, irrespective of how I feel. Right? And then getting those outreaches to be booked in for calls with me, or getting those outreaches, follow them up. There's a standard that I have. One of the other things is I must learn something new today. Every day I must learn something new. So the standard for me is, irrespective of what's going on in my day, something new must be learned. And then it quickly turns the worst day into a better day. Because for me, if I'm having a really bad day and my mind's racing, learning something new is that reminder that even though it's my worst day, I've still figured out a way to be able to help my business grow. Even on my worst day. And then it gets me thinking about, okay, if I can get through today, leave today in the past, move on to tomorrow, and tomorrow's a better day, with this new knowledge that I have from the previous day, how much better is my better day going to be? It's going to be even better. So for me, that standard is there for a reason. It's to protect me even on my worst days. Because how many of us on our worst days feel like we get nothing done? Right? We can't focus, we can't do this, we can't do that. Too many things going through our minds. The reason why I listen to somebody and I learn something of somebody, especially on YouTube while I'm training, is because it allows my mind to be focused on one thing and not focus on 1,000 things. Yeah? So that focus on one thing is the best part for me. So if I can focus on it, learn something new from it and go, okay, I'm losing here, but I'm also winning here. And the winning here is going to carry me into the next day. The losing here is only going to be for today. But if I'm not careful, it can bleed into tomorrow. So I leave the losing in the past, and I look at the wins that I've made for the day, especially the learning of the new skill, whatever it might be, and then I work off that. The next part is tracking. So what gets measured gets managed, and I've mentioned this to you guys a lot, right? Everybody on YouTube, you would have heard my previous videos, I mentioned this a lot. No guesswork. Even on my worst day, if I'm still tracking stuff, am I winning or losing? So if I'm winning even on my worst day, how much better am I going to win on my best day? But instead of it feeling good, like, hey, the gym's busy. This is great. The gym's busy. This is awesome. Lots of people coming and training. And I don't track numbers. I don't track revenue. I don't track profit. I don't track sign-ups, cancellations, suspensions. Even though we're busy, does that automatically mean that we're making money? No. It doesn't. I used to think that in the past. We're busy. It's got to be. Bro, we're so busy, man, as if we're not going to be able to make money. I looked at the books. I'm like, what? That is not reflective of a busy business. That number that was coming up as revenue and the other number that was coming up as profit. So when I started to do the books, I started to track metrics even harder. I'm looking at, I don't care how busy the gym floor is. I really don't anymore. I care about what the numbers are telling me. Because one of the clients was saying, man, there's not many people around. I said, yeah, but we've got record months. And they looked at me like, what? I said, yeah. It doesn't bother me if not many people are around. It bothers me if the gym isn't moving in the direction it needs to move, so I can keep putting food on the table for the 3 of you as well as myself. Are you with me? So that's why tracking is really important. It takes the emotion out, it takes the guesswork out. And it allows us to look at, okay, this is what we did last month or this week or this day. This is how we're looking for tomorrow or the next week or the next month. And imagine we did that every single week, which we do. Anna and I do it every single week. And I look at it every single Sunday. And I look at it every week for 52 weeks. What do you think is going to happen with how I can measure and manage stuff over the 52-week time of the year, or period of the year, sorry? It gets better. Decisions are made that are smarter because there's no guesswork and everything that is measured is getting managed. The last one is accountability. I love to have my team around me a lot. So I love having you guys around me a lot. You keep me accountable. I love having my business coaches. They keep me accountable. Yeah. I love having my faith. My faith keeps me accountable. Yeah, I love having my spiritual director. He keeps me accountable. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about when it comes to accountability is not just from a business point of view. It's from a human being life point of view. Business is just one tiny aspect of our lives. Yeah? For some reason, people feel like business is their whole life. And business is who they are. I don't think that you're so much bigger than your business. And for me, it's always been about the impact I can have on people. I talk about money a lot. Like a lot. And people always ask me, why do you always talk about money? Like, why are you so obsessed with money? I'm obsessed with money and understanding how it can work better for you, how you can make more of it, because it plays such a big role in our lives. Whether we want to accept that fact or not, money plays a huge role in our lives. So why wouldn't you want to get good at making money? Why wouldn't you want to get better at serving people so you can be able to create better wealth for yourself and then be able to help more people through the wealth that you make for yourself? People just have the order wrong. They assume that I love money more than people. I don't. I love people more than money. I use the money to help the people. And I always have. Anyone that knows me well, like you guys, know that I help the money. I use the money to help the people. If I make more money, so when I make more money, great. That's the goal. Nobody wants to get poor fast. Everybody wants to get rich fast. Yes or no? I'm not talking to robots. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you look at it from that point of view, you know that people say, are you doing that get rich quick scheme? It's like, well, I don't want to get rich slow. Well, who wants to get rich slow? Who wants to wait for 60 years to actually go, I've made it? I'd rather do it in 10 years. But the benefit of making more money faster is what? You help more people faster. Love the people more than the money. You'll use the money to help the people. And that's exactly how I live my life. So when it comes to accountability, you guys keep me accountable. My business coaches, like I said before, my spiritual director, my faith, the Bible, God, anything that I look at for accountability that I have in my life for a reason is there as a tool to keep me focused, to keep me remembering what's actually important. And so when we look at all these 4 pillars, they're what I use for all year round consistency, and they all interrelate with each other. They all interrelate with each other. Another example of environment, I just want to quickly go back to that one. I put myself in a room where I am the dumbest person in that room on purpose. I always put myself in a room where I'm the smallest fish in the biggest pond. Why?
That's how you learn.
It's how you learn, but it's how you get challenged. It's actually a very humbling experience when you're in a room with people making $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million in your industry, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't do it for the money. I just do it because I care about people. But then you're miserable because you're not making as much money as you want to make. And then that miserable feeling, who do you take it out on?
Your loved ones.
That, but also these clients that are simply excited to see you and want to get your service. But you're annoyed because you know where you want to be financially, but it's actually your fault in the end because you've undersold yourself. And I'm talking to the business owners on the video, but any of you guys that actually want to be able to build business for yourself, never undersell yourself. Put yourself in an environment where you're learning from these people that have made a lot of money, they've made lots of money, and they're making lots of money because they've made plenty of mistakes as well. And the beautiful thing about the mistakes that they've made is the opportunities there for me to learn from them. Understand them. Look at the mindset. And they always do this, that they focus on consistency. Always, 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 always. And the last point here, they've removed the need to feel motivated at all. These guys I talk to, some of them are just like not motivated at all, but they just make these businesses work so well, right? They're more motivated by hanging out with their kids and going on the farm with their kids than how about what their business is doing, right? Which I think is awesome because it tells me a lot about their personality. Environment. I want to go a bit more detail about that. We're going to work through those pillars as well. So environment. Your environment your environment does more work than your willpower ever will. So putting yourself around the right kind of people, putting yourself in an environment that will encourage you to work harder is the best way to do it. But also become smarter as well. It's actually the best way to do it. So I'm going to just talk about here. Set it up so the right choice is the easy one. Lay out your kit the night before. Book training sessions like meetings. Keep the first step small and visible. Yeah, I lay out my clothes and everything else the night before. I don't do it in the morning. And I've done this for over 10 years. Just always makes fun of me. Have you got your uniform ready? I said, yeah, I got it ready. I lay it out, it's all ready. Even to the point where like my socks, my undies, my trackies, my shirt, my shoes, they're all there. All laid out ready for me, right? I even put my vitamins in my bag, ready to go. I have all my training gear in my bag, ready to go. My towel, everything's ready to go. All I gotta do is put my clothes on in the morning, take my bag, I'm out the front door. And the reason why I do it that way is because when you set yourself up to have a system like that, it's one less thing for you to remember. And you're not starting your day rushed. And I mean rushed here. You're not starting your day like that. You're starting your day relaxed because you spent an extra 5 minutes before you went to bed setting everything up. The second point, book training sessions like meetings. Now I don't miss a session. Why? If a meeting is important, my training is important. So I'm going to book a training session like a meeting. It's my time. And we all should do it. And if you don't do it, you should. Because if you don't, you're going to miss out on the most important aspect of your day, more important than anything else that you do in your day. That one thing you do for your health. Because if you're not looking after your health, how much better are you going to be for everything else? You're not going to be good for anything else. I don't care how much you think that I'm wrong. Experience has shown me, both professionally and personally, if you're not looking after your health, nothing you want to achieve in life is going to be achieved at the rate that you want to achieve it in. The third point, keep your first step small and visible. Remember what a few years ago, my health was really poor? I was carrying a lot of weight, my inflammation was through the roof. Do you know what was the catalyst for me just starting? It was just that first step, I kept it really small. I kept it really, really, really small. And when it came to my training, in particular, because I knew how good I was, but how much I had regressed or gone backwards in my ability to train the way I like to train, what did I start with? Anybody remember?
Whole body routine.
I just did very simple whole body routines. 3 sets, then some treadmill, then the sauna. I did that for 4 weeks. And I built it up to 5 sets in the 4 weeks. All right? Then I built it up. Then I did another 4 weeks of whole body, but I went even a little bit harder. I did that for what? Close to 6 months. Then I got a coach in. Then he programmed for me and I left it on to him for me to do whatever I need to do. But I just took the small step and I kept it really, really achievable for myself. And I didn't put this expectation that I have to back up what I was in my first day or my first week or even in my first month. Because all I would have done was deter me. Turn me off, make me feel like I can't do it because I'm not the way I used to be. I knew I'd get there, but I knew I had to start and humble myself to start small. Now I'm at the point where I'm back to what I was and I'm about to get better than what I was. But you got to start small and you got to keep it visible. Now we relate this to business. Most people think that businesses have to have this huge influx of cash for you to get anywhere so you can start something. That's true. For a traditional business, it's true. That's why I love network marketing, because you don't need a big influx of cash. You need a small amount, maybe a couple of grand at most to get started. Some even less than that. But that's what you need to get started. And then if you're with a business like Zinzino, when you put all that effort in, you get a refund straight back in your first 12 months of everything you invested, plus all your commissions on top, right? But the point of what I'm trying to get at is when it comes to the small visible step, that's another example, right? Even if you want to start your own business in the traditional sense, it doesn't have to be a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 influx of cash that most people don't just have, right? Or you don't have to worry about doing all these extra courses to develop skills. Keep it nice and simple. Keep the first step very small, because if you do it that way, you're more inclined to succeed, but you're actually more inclined to start. Yeah, most of us don't have an extra 50 grand just hanging around. Most people don't. Most people aren't very savvy and don't have a lot of skill when it comes to communication and all that kind of stuff, right? So instead of putting all these little facts in front of you or reasons in front of you that tell you can't. Focus on the little small step and keep it visible that makes you feel like you actually can. That's why I started with Zenzino, because the first step was so small and it was so visible for me that I felt like I could start. And because it's at my own pace, I've just gone Anthony Cassis mode and gone really hard, but because I can do everything at my own pace, there was another reason for me to be able to do it. Because I'm helping people at my own pace and it works so nicely with what I already do. That's why that works for me. But any network marketing business is the same. You start small and you slowly build yourself up. That's what it is. And I think they're one of the best business opportunities for anybody who's open-minded, who wants to be able to create just this nice extra revenue for them without the traditional influx of cash that most businesses will require you to do, or doing like 80 hours a week. I can get people earning $5,000 a month every month, reoccurring, if they gave me and they gave themselves 5 hours a week. But a real good solid 5 hours a week. But most people look at that and go, 5 hours extra, I don't know. But the ones, it's maybe 1 in every 20 people that I speak to, which is fine, that are willing to give themselves 5 hours a week for 12 months to start to make $5,000 a month recurring. For some people, that's a fucking loan payment. All right, that's their house paid for, covered. Yeah, where all that stress is gone now, and all they've done is extra 5 hours a week, every week for 12 months. You know, so again, start small, keep it visible. Standards, not intensity. Now, most people set a ceiling for what they can be able to do. Do you guys understand the concept of setting a ceiling? Right, so this is my ceiling, right? No, that's all I can get to. If that ceiling is $10,000 a month, but I want to get to 100 grand a month revenue, what do I have to do? Do I have to raise the floor or do I have to raise the ceiling? Exactly. So instead of having the ceiling always raised, have the ceiling non-existent. All right? Stop trying to fix the ceiling. Fix the floor. Make the floor nice and strong, like it's saying. All right? A non-negotiable minimum. Raise the floor and have the ceiling open. Don't put a ceiling on you. Because when you put a ceiling on you, you put a cap on what you can do. So a lot of people teach that raise the ceiling. They don't even worry about the floor. I teach it the other way around. Fuck the ceiling. Have the floor. Raise the floor. So the floor is your new minimum every single time. And the ceiling, there's no maximum for you. Right? People that limit their ceiling or have that ceiling on themselves, they're just limiting what they can do. Not just with making money, but with their whole life. With the impact that they can have on people's lives. I've removed the ceiling from the impact that I want to have on people's lives. That's why I'm going so hard on my live events. But I'm challenging myself by having to do more research, having to do more study, having to get smarter, having to present better, get lessons on presenting, doing all the things I need to do to take that ceiling and keep it removed so I can just keep going up and up and up. But what I've done is I've raised the minimum. I don't raise the maximum, I raise the minimum. So the minimum is now my new standard. Are you guys with me? The minimum, for example, if the minimum is 50 grand a month, that's my minimum. So even on my worst day, that's my minimum. Does that sound pretty cool to most people? Yeah? So on your worst day, you're still earning 50 grand in that month. On your worst month, you're still earning 50 grand in that month. That's your minimum. Pretty good. It's close to $300,000 a year. Not bad. But if you move that minimum to 60 grand a month, 70 grand a month, 80 grand a month, 90 grand a month, see how the ceiling doesn't stop? Versus if you have the ceiling here, then you've got to keep working on the ceiling, it's going to keep stopping you. There's no infinity. People put a cap on money because they don't feel like there's money around. The one thing I hate that people say is money that doesn't grow on trees. It actually makes my blood boil. Because they're focusing more on the lack of versus the abundance of. Do you know why God created a garden first? Sorry, do you know why God put Adam and Eve in a garden? Does anybody know why he put him in a garden? Or want to have a guess that's why he put him in a garden and not put him in a desert? What grows in a desert? Nothing. What grows in a garden? Everything. How much can a garden grow? It doesn't stop. Do you understand the importance of the garden that God put Adam and Eve in? And then God said, be fruitful and? Multiply. Thank you. Isn't that what he's calling us to do? Be fruitful, multiply. And by multiply doesn't mean have kids. Multiply is multiply what you want to do. So if I want to have a gym that earns me $100,000 a month, but God's calling me to be fruitful and multiply, I want to take that $100,000 a month and take it to 200 grand a month. And then take that 200 grand a month, take it to 300 grand a month. And irrespective of people think that that's doable or not, it's none of my concern. It's actually none of their concern either. The point of what I'm trying to get at is that that's being, for me, that's my calling. That's my godly calling. Is to do it, but teach people how to do it as well. Because when you do it that way, and you understand that God was very creative, is very creative, is very creative. He created us. When you think of it from that perspective, why would you put a cap on the creativity that you have if we're made in His image? I'm going to say something to you guys, and I've mentioned this to you before. If you put a cap on what you can be able to achieve, what you can do in this world, everybody listening on YouTube, listen really well. If you put a cap on everything that you can do, you're stopping yourself from achieving the creativeness and the possibilities that God designed for you. That's a satanic way of thinking. And I take that real seriously. It's a satanic way of thinking. Because if you say, I can't, I don't have it's not for me, you're taking away every single beautiful thing that God put in you, and you're saying, no, it's not going to work. How dare you? You have no right to do that. Because if you're made in God's image, if we are all made in God's image and God's likeness, we have creativity. Creativity is the start of building whatever you want out of your life. You need to stop listening to that devil in the back of your head that's telling you that you can't do it. Because that's all it is. You don't have the skill? Learn it. You don't have the money? Earn it. You don't have the possibilities, the capability, the ability to do so? Find it. You can do it though, is what I'm trying to get at. And when we look at standards, if you don't have a standard for yourself, that should be your starting point. Have the standard. What is my month have to look like? It doesn't have to be from a monetary perspective. It can be from an action perspective. What does my month or my week have to look like as a minimum for me to move forward in the areas that I want? Because that in itself, once you have that standard, you know what you start to do from that standard, and you implement that standard, you actually stay really capable with that standard, you start to believe in your ability to do something. You start to believe in the creativity that God's put in your brain. Alex and I had a really good podcast episode about AI. Alex is very adamant that AI was built by satanic people. I'm adamant that God put the idea in our head to build technology. Not the devil. The devil can't create a single thing. If you believe the devil can create something, go back and read your Bible. The devil can't create anything. What he can do is twist it. So if somebody's got a passion to love, God can twist that love. The devil, can twist that love and make it obsession. If somebody's got a passion for something, they can turn that passion and make it an addiction. Right? If somebody is feeling like they're missing something out of their life, the devil can come in and twist it and make them find it from something else that doesn't serve God, but serves the devil. But the purpose of what I'm trying to get at, and the point of what I'm trying to get at, creativity, the idea, that's God. That's God. What the devil tries to do is take us away from being godly and creating stuff in the name of God and the way we're supposed to in God's image. He tries to take it from us. Take us from God and do something that's satanic with it. A lot of the things that we see that AI can do is satanic, yeah. But you're focusing on the wrong things, in my opinion, because a lot of the things that AI is doing is actually bringing people closer to God as well. You just need to focus on which one you want to focus on. You focus on what the devil's doing, you're going to get caught up in that. It's going to take you away from the center. It's your creativeness, it's your godlike image, it's what God wants you to do. It's the standard that God wants you to set for yourself. Because you'll drop your standard and go, there's no point. Because the devil's just going to ruin it anyway. Am I sounding like people that you know, or maybe like yourselves in some point? Because if I am, you need to evaluate your standard. And your focus point should be here. It needs to be here. On the godly things that God wants you to do, on the creativeness that God's blessed you with, and you need to execute on them. Because if you haven't, then the other side win. Every single time. And when you want to look at 12 months of consistency, you should be forward in the area, in certain areas of your life in 12 months. And if you're not, if you're honestly not, what have you let? What voice have you let? Ever heard of the story of the white wolf and the dark wolf? What does the dark wolf represent? The negativity, the devil. What does the white wolf represent? Positivity. In this context, God. Which one grows? Which one grows stronger? Which one grows stronger? No one knows the answer? I'm sure somebody in YouTube would. The one you feed. The one that grows stronger is the one you feed. Yeah? You want to feed, the one that grows stronger is the one that you feed. So be very careful and be very open-minded, be very switched on and aware of what you're feeding, which one that you're feeding. Because without realizing, if you're not careful, you'll feed the wrong one and you'll go nowhere in the areas of your life that you want to go somewhere. Because you've forgotten you're made in the image of God. Yeah? People ask me all the time, what's your why? Like, how do you, like, you're always just trying to do something. I'm like, because I woke up. I'm like, what do you mean? I woke up today. I have air in my lungs. God gave me another day. That's enough for me. And if people want something bigger or grander or more amazing, I would argue you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. You don't. And if you don't, that's okay. But maybe you need to go and look at why you're doing what you're doing. Because once you find your why, you'll get up and you'll thank God for another day and you'll go after it. I have the opportunity to do something that is going to leave a lasting legacy well after I'm gone from this world. That excites me like no else. And it's excited me even more from the first second I held my son. Right? That's for me. But if somebody in this room or somebody listening on YouTube has a why that makes them that really fires them up inside, sit in it. Write it down. Get creative. Understand God wants this for you because He knows you already got the skills to do it. You just need to let the devil get out of your way and you need to go after it. Tracking. As I mentioned before, tracking is a very, very important part of everything that you do. We track our programs. We track our nutrition. Right? People should be tracking their business metrics. Right? I track my sleep. I track my supplementation. I track my blood tests. I track my inflammation markers. I track everything I can track. Do you know why? What gets measured gets managed in every context. What gets measured gets managed. So if you haven't reached your full potential yet, and you want to know what you could be doing to understand where you need to improve, start tracking. The answers will reveal themselves to you straight away. But track the important things for you. From a business point of view, you can't know what you're doing if you don't know what's coming in. You can't know what you're doing if you don't know what's going out. Yeah? From a health point of view, you can't know what's wrong with you if you haven't tested. You can't just make assumptions. I feel okay. I hear that 1,000 times a day, coming from a person that's got 25 to 30% body fat on them. I feel okay. Sure, bro, you don't look okay. People are like that. And the reason why they put up that wall is because they haven't understood the importance of humbling themselves to get better. But even the ones that aren't overweight, they do have the right physiques. The I feel okay still doesn't sit with me. How do you know? Oh, I feel fine. How do you know that? And when I'm talking like this, I'm talking about me when I was 16, 17 years old. Diagnosed with autoimmune disease. But for years upon that, I kept saying to people, I feel fine, I feel fine. Anthony, get a blood test, just have a look. I feel fine, I feel fine, I feel fine. Wake up one morning, my gland in my neck is out here. Or my glands in my body are swollen. I can't do anything for 3 or 4 weeks. I feel like I'm dragging my feet. Right? And then I looked at everything that was going on with my health after I got a blood test. I was like, oh, shit. I could have avoided this like 6 months ago if I just tracked. So you can track in any context, is what I'm trying to get at. It's not just about a business and money point of view. Is it important to track your money? Yeah, very. Even if you're not a business owner, it's very important to track your money. Because you need to know what's going in, what's going out. But if you're looking at trying to get to a certain point, financially speaking, if you're looking at trying to make your money work for you, there's all these different things that you can look at, right? But the point is track your money irrespective of whether you're a business owner or not. Because it will reveal answers to you. And if you need to earn more money because you haven't been able to get to a certain goal, then that's another conversation you need to have. But you won't know unless you're tracking. If you go at the end of every week and you're like, oh, here we go again, I can't afford to do anything this weekend because I haven't got money. You throw your hands up because it's so hard, man. And then you start blaming everybody else and everything else. Keep doing that for 12 more months and tell me how you've gone. Most of the time you want to improve it anyway because you're doing the same shit all the time that isn't actually going to get you to move forward. You guys with me? Accountability. People are not a limited resource, whereas willpower is a limited resource. So keeping yourselves accountable, keeping myself accountable is really important because if I have the right people in my corner, if I have the right people giving me the right advice or hitting me with the hard truths, I value that because that's what keeps me accountable. Right? And the last one here, find people who will ask where you were. And what that means is, are you here? Are you doing the thing? The gym didn't go well this week, why? Right? Or my business coach, Anthony, you had a target for this much per month, you didn't get it, what happened? Where were you? Why didn't you get there? And then I go back to tracking and then I understand why.
Wait, so you want us to ask you?
No, I'm saying this is what people ask me. So I have people in my corner of accountability that keep me accountable. You guys keep me accountable in your own way. You do. My business coaches keep me accountable in their own way. Right? Like I said before, my faith keeps me accountable in that own way. Now stop planning the year, plan the next 12 weeks. If you're like me, you like to plan a lot. Like I do the big plan, and then I break it up into quarters. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. It's 12 weeks at a time every time. This is why I do the Q1, the Q2, the Q3, the Q4. And the reason for that is because it's easier to focus on 12 weeks at a time than it is to focus on 52 weeks. It's too overwhelming. Do it like that. Build the habit, build the strength, build the results, and then lock in the lifestyle. So when you think of it from that perspective, that's quite a simple approach to focus on 12 weeks. Like really focus on 12 weeks. And if it's not, like that kind of seems like it's training related, but it's actually not. It's any kind of building of any goal, or achieving, of any goal related. All right, so what habit, one habit, do you need to just build? Could be reading something every day or learning something every day, right? For the next 12 weeks. It could be that. Build the strength. You've built the habit, now you build the strength. And what happens when the strength? The standard rises. Now the standard can rise because you're getting better. Putting the reps in, which is build the strength, or build the habit, sorry. You're putting the reps in, you start getting stronger, the standard rises. Then you build the results. Now the work starts to compound. Have you noticed that we're getting more consults over the last, say, month than we have in the previous 3 or 4 months to that? Have you noticed there's been more positive feedback over the last month or 6 to 6 weeks versus the previous months before that? Does it make sense now, team? Yeah? This is why I purposely have you doing a certain role, you're doing a certain role, and I'm doing a certain role, he's doing a certain role, Zen is doing a certain role, Kat's doing a certain role. That's the reason for this. So this is the reason for that, I meant to say. It makes a very big deal, a very big difference, when you understand that this doesn't matter how you guys show up as long as you get the reps in, right? It doesn't matter how I show up as long as I get the reps in. I'm tired today. I'm exhausted today. I had a big day yesterday. It wasn't an easy day for me yesterday. So that's why I started later today. But I'm just going to get the reps in. Irrespective of how the reps look, I'm just going to get the reps in because the standard is set. I have to get the reps in. That's the standard I've set for myself, for me to achieve the next goal that I want to achieve. And then when I achieve the next goal, and I locked in the lifestyle to keep that goal there, back to the start for the next goal. See what I mean? I find this enjoyable because it's showing me that ceiling that's non-existent, that I can keep pushing the standard, the floor, up and up and up and up. That's what it's showing me, which excites me. Really, really, really excites me. Now we've got lock in the lifestyle. For me, it's about who I am. Yeah, the lifestyle that I want to build for myself, the life that I want to build for myself, it's not about what I do. It's about who I am. Which means that the life I have is reflective of the things that I'm doing. Are you guys with me on that one, or is that a bit confusing? You're not giving me much.
Say it again.
So the lifestyle, so who I am, is reflective of the life that I live. I am a healthy man. I am a man of God. I am a father. I'm a husband. I'm a son. Those things are important to me, right? I'm a leader for my business. I'm an entrepreneur. Everything about the habit, the strength, and the results reflects that lifestyle. So what do I do on a daily basis? I train. What else? I read. I study. I listen. I learn. What else? I teach. I coach. I run presentations. I act. Eat. I eat. Yeah, cool. I eat well. I hydrate. See what I'm trying to say? All these lives. I pray daily, which is the lifestyle. Then when I want to go to, and I'm going to use a monetary example because it's the easiest one for me. When I want to go from 80 grand a month to 100 grand a month, that's I got to build a new habit. Because what got me to 80 grand is not going to get me to 100 grand. You need to understand that. It's not doing the same things that's going to get you higher. It's building new things, new habits.
How do you know what new habits to build?
You got to look at where you're weak. So for example, I'm a good salesman. Maybe 8 out of every 10 people will sign up, right? For me to take it from 80 grand to 100 grand, I've got to be a great salesman. So for example, I got 5 calls today. All those 5 need to sign up because it's going to move the needle up, right? But then we look at the standard that we have. So for example, build a habit, show up, nothing fancy, just put the reps in. So what do I do? For 80 grand to 100 grand, I put the reps in. The reps are going to be harder reps because I've got to learn new stuff. How I present myself is going to get better. How I talk needs to get better, right? How I'm able to get people to come to a free event. The same people that were getting stuff for free, now they're paying $50 a ticket. That's going to add a big deal as well. So how do I get that? How do I do that? How do I build that, right? From there, I have all the habits I need to put in. These new habits I need to build. These new habits, once they're set and I'm doing them daily and then weekly and then monthly, it raises the new standard for me. Make sense? So the new standard is now set. When the new standard is now set, now the work starts to compound. So that will just start building itself. Make sense? Because I'm doing the reps every day for the new standard that will compound. Now, once that's compounded, I'm doing that for 12 weeks, I've locked in the lifestyle. This is the new standard for me now. This is the new lifestyle for me now. Are you with me? Does that kind of help to understand it more?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I just wanted to know how you know what to do if you want to make that 100K.
Yeah, so
If you've already built that 80K and you want to take yourself to 100K.
It could be something as simple as a price increase for some of my services, right? But then what am I going to do for me to be able to justify the price increase? It could be doing more events. It could be charging more for my events, right? It could be putting myself out of my comfort zone and trying to talk to more health professionals and medical professionals to be able to get them to start as business partners with me with Zenzino. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's just understanding where I'm weak, but also understanding the areas that I can actually improve in as well.
What if you can't improve in that area? If that's just your weak point and you don't really...
Well, then you
can improve it
outsource.
so much, but you can't really get there to that 100K.
Look, if I can't get there myself, I'll outsource. Yeah. I'll join a group. There's always a way. There's always a way. This is why I have business coaches all the time, because they're the ones that are going to get me to the 100K months. Do you get what I mean? So there's always a way.
And if they don't get you there,
I'll find someone else. Yeah. It's not personal, but this is my goal. There's a reason why that goal is important. I need to find somebody else.
And when do you decide that? When you want to achieve that 100K, or is it just...
Well, I set a goal. I communicated to my business coach, and they set me stuff to do. And if I do them and I listen to them wholeheartedly, 100%, I don't achieve that goal, we just reassess. It's not about I didn't achieve it, you're gone. Just reassess, right? And you'll know whether the people you have in your corner are the right people for you. You also need to, and I'm digressing, but I'll bring it back. You also need to understand that who you put yourself around dictates a lot about what you learn and how you learn. Right? So for me, I've shared a lot of people in my life that don't allow me to get to where I want to get to, from a personal point of view. It is what it is. It's nothing personal, but your values don't align with mine anymore. Right? There are a lot of people in my life that like to drink, that like to do drugs, that like to smoke, that like to do all the stuff that I don't want to do anymore. I don't hate you. I actually pray for you. I love you. but I don't need you in my life anymore because your values are mine, they don't connect anymore. Do you get what I mean? And if that's if you want to realize that, you start to seek. You actually will go and seek. So how I found other mentors I listened to is I went and I seek them.
Do you think that you're very selfish doing that? Like, do you have to be selfish to move the way you want to move? And
Yeah.
want to have these, like, achieve your ambition?
Yeah, look, yes and no. Like when you're selfish, I truly believe that when you're selfish, you're only thinking about how it's going to help you. Right? So I don't believe I'm selfish for removing toxic people from my life. But the way I remove people is I don't sit and have a phone call with them and say, listen, you and I can't hang out anymore. I just don't go to the events. Or I'll go, but when it starts to get rowdy, I leave.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? But I put myself in front of the people that I want to put myself in front of. The reason why I don't feel it's selfish is because I'm not doing this just for me though. Who am I doing this for? My family. That's why I know it's not selfish. Because if I'm the leader of my family and I'm not actively looking to upskill myself, I'm letting down my family. Does that make sense? So for me, the ones that don't do that,
to, like, become more not selfish.
no, it's the right word you're using, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have to become more selfish when you were a business owner?
It's more sacrificing than being selfish. I'm sacrificing, because don't get me wrong, the people that do that kind of stuff, in the moment, it's fun. In the moment, having a drink, doing all that, it's fun. You enjoy yourself, right? But at the sacrifice of what? Your brain cells, your ability to move forward. I lose a week every time I drink. So no more.
So I was like talking in a business.
Yeah, so this is how it affects my business. So when you have a business and you want your business to be really fruitful, you need to put yourself around the people that want to see it succeed. You actually have to protect yourself. You do. It's very, very hard for you to be able to succeed when you got people that don't want to see you succeed and you hang out with them all the time. So you may have to not upskill your friends, but find people in your life that are going to actually help you move forward, or just simply be happy for you. Or you need to just set boundaries with the people that are currently in your life, and that they're going to cop a lot more no's as opposed to the yeses that they're expecting you to have. You with me? So I don't believe it's selfish because you've got to look at the reason why you're doing it. Yeah? So for me, the people that were in my life that aren't in my life anymore, I don't associate with as much. I see them, care for them, love them, no judgment, but they're not for me anymore. It's not selfish. It's just what needs to happen. Because if I lose, they're not going to be there to pick me up. So why would I sacrifice my growth because I'm scared of being selfish? Do you get what I mean? Does that help? Alrighty. Never miss twice. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? If you have a bad day, or if things don't get achieved in that day, that's cool. We're humans. It's going to happen. But if you turn that one day to 2, 3, 4, 5 days because you're in your own feels, something's going to become a problem, right? And the reason for that is because nothing good comes from there. This is where a certain pattern starts. There's a certain person I'm thinking of. Not in this room, so don't worry. And this person would literally sit there for weeks on end and feel sorry for themselves and get nowhere. And then wonder why they haven't moved forward in 12 months. And I feel for them. I pray for them. But I don't accept their reasons for how they're feeling, because they're in this pattern of just self-sabotage and feeling sorry for themselves, and life is hard, why me, poor me, all that crap. And so when you think of it from that perspective, you can have a bad day. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay when things are going to plan. Like I got no work done yesterday. And that's why I was like, man, I need to hit my targets today. But then I realized, hold on. You're at your very close friend's father's funeral. You grew up with his family. You grew up in that house, right? You have so much respect for that family and for his father in particular. Just be present for that day. That's okay. So I came in this morning, although I'm a bit tired because of the big day yesterday. I came in this morning, I'm like, okay, back on track. Never missed twice. Ever. I was on the phone to my friend today. And he said to me, he goes, bro, I have no will to work, but I have to get back into work today. I said, Joe, never miss twice. He goes, what? I swear to you. I go, never miss twice. I go, do one thing today, it's going to move the needle forward, so it'll make you feel like you can come back to some kind of normality. I said, never miss twice. Feel how you're going to feel. Maybe go for a run today, fill your own cup that way, and I might clear your mind, and then just check in with the team to make sure that the building hasn't burnt down. If there are a couple of things, and the rest of the time you spend with your mum, great, go. But never miss twice. All right? I'll put this in a context where the three of you can understand a little bit better. Training. You miss a training session, what do I always tell you? Just make sure you get it done tomorrow. Even if you missed Monday, do not miss Tuesday. Or if you train Monday but you miss Tuesday, do not miss Wednesday. Never miss twice. Because as soon as you start missing more than one session, you start to build what?
Bad habit.
A pattern of missing sessions. But it's not the missed sessions that's the problem. It's the pattern of not doing everything you're saying you're going to do. It's the pattern of not holding yourself accountable. It's the pattern of letting excuses take over what you should be doing. It's that pattern that can be very, very, very dangerous. Because how you do one thing
How you do everything.
is how you do everything. Exactly. And so if you're going to miss out on training sessions, you're definitely going to miss out on your nutrition. You will. You'll definitely miss out on going to bed at the right time and waking up at the right time. You'll definitely miss out on sticking to your water intake per day. You'll definitely miss out on hitting your targets with your other goals that you have. You'll definitely miss out on tracking your metrics on a weekly basis. All right? You need to understand how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I firmly believe, that if you have set yourself up to achieve a certain goal by a certain time, irrespective of what life throws at you, you should never, ever, ever, ever forfeit that goal because it's not the ideal scenario or the ideal timing for you. Because nothing good comes from that. All you've done is create a pattern of going, it's okay, I don't need to worry about doing it. Because that it's okay, I don't need to worry about doing it, before you know it, creeps into every other aspect of your life. And therefore, your potential that you could hit and reach in your life is going to be slowed down or delayed. So, if you set yourself up, I'll use training again. If you have a competition that you want to do, you've registered for it, but then you've pulled out for it because it's not the ideal scenario, it's not the competition that you've pulled out from, right? That is the problem. It's the pattern. Because that one pattern has to hit other things. And if you're giggling, it's probably because you're like, fine, he's got a point.
Okay, but what happens if it didn't bleed into your other aspects of your life? It was just that competition.
Okay. We'll talk about this later. It will. Without realizing it, it will. Right? And it's the pattern of missing stuff. It may not be anything major. It's small things. But small things compounded over time equal what? A big thing. Right? So if you think about those little small things, it could be random little small things that you haven't done properly that you know should have been done properly. Right? And if you haven't done it like that, again, they just compound. So to better answer your question though, you could have done that, but then you could have been very aware of what that could actually cause in terms of a pattern. Right? Well, then it meant that the things that followed, you never miss out on again. That's the plus side of being aware of this. Right? So for example, you didn't do the comp, right? For whatever reason. Same thing as Alex, didn't do the comp for whatever reason. You realized, okay, I'm not doing this comp, but I have to work on something. Yeah? I can't just let it all go to nothing and then miss sessions and not care and not worry. There's got to be something that I work towards. Yeah? What did we do? We went straight back to the plan, revised the plan, and moved forward again. Yes or no? That was my mindset. Never miss twice. So I said, okay, you're not going to do the comp? Cool, whatever. I'm not your dad. But you have to have a goal because it means it's going to keep you accountable. It means you're never going to create this pattern of
the goal was
stop-start.
to get stronger.
Good.
Because I didn't want to compete at that, whatever I was doing at that time.
But anyway, so perfection was never the plan. One missed session is life. Whatever happened yesterday, show up today in some small way, even if it's a fraction of what you would normally do. Point is, you never miss. You just keep turning up. Yeah? If what you've done today is nowhere near as good as you did yesterday, I don't care. As long as you turned up today and did the reps. You're still building up, you're showing up and doing the reps, irrespective of how the reps look. All right? Now, this is how we coach. It's not just what we coach. So when you look at how I coach client, every client that walks in relying on motivation, so every client does walk in relying on motivation because that's all most people ever are given. Our job, and what I focus on with my coaches in particular, is to hand them a system before that motivation runs out. And so when I see a client falling off, the question isn't try harder. The question really is, what pillar is missing? What pillar is missing? And we attack that pillar. So my check-in calls with clients, I do book in for check-in calls. These are some of the things that I go over, right? There's a client at the moment going through a really, really difficult time, personally, but he keeps turning up, irrespective of how he's feeling, because he knows he's just building a habit, he's building the strength, he's building the results, and as unlocking that lifestyle. And that's what's getting him through. Now, strength isn't about a big moment. It's built in the boring ones. Show up small, show up often, but in particular, show up all year round. That's how you do it. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Thanks team for being here. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.